welcome to your Year to Remember. We're happy to share with you a unique record of events as seen by the newsreels. Stories, both major and minor, happy and sad, that recall a 12-month passage in time that meant so much in your life.
Only a few weeks ago could have foreseen that a jet airliner would have His Holiness as passenger bound for the Holy Land. He is the first Pope to fly, and on the airport, or in the spirit, Christendom bade him Godspeed. In every part of Jerusalem, the papal progress excited enormous interest. On to Nazareth. In this ancient city, Jesus grew up with Mary and Joseph, working in the carpenter shop till he was ready to begin his ministry. Pope Paul visited here the Church of the Annunciation. It venerates the informing of the Virgin Mary by the angel Gabriel that she would be the mother of Jesus. This is a most sacred building to all who profess and call themselves Christian. One object of the papal pilgrimage was to move towards the unification of the Christian churches. When it is achieved, that unity may lead to the wider community of peoples worthy of the Son of God, who was born in Bethlehem. The wind of change is blowing half a gale in the Panama Canal Zone. Americans had to defend themselves as students and other rioters demanded an end of the 61-year-old Canal Zone Treaty with the United States. Panamanians want their flag to replace the Stars and Stripes, not merely fly alongside it, as in the present arrangement. They had scant respect for American property. At this stage, the best hopes were that the trouble would end as quickly as it flared up. Any doubts about the Beatles' reception in America were dispelled the moment they touched down. New Yorkers turned out in force, and making allowance for an American accent, the screams might have been genuine Merseyside. George, John, Paul, and Ringo had found a new world to conquer. Some press conference. For half an hour, there was so much din you couldn't tell a word. It was a matter of everybody being patient, hoping it would begin eventually.
Aren't you afraid of what the American Barbers Association is going to think of you?
Well, we've run quicker than the English ones. We'll have a go here.
Did you hope to get a haircut at all?
No, no, thanks. I had one yesterday. That's no lie. It's true.
You know, I think he missed.
No, he didn't. No. You should have seen him the day before.
The crowds had waited outside to cheer them all the way to the hotel. No arguing about it. The Beatles are the top pop music phenomenon of the century. Your new hat can be in the height of fashion this spring withat costing the earth, thanks to the influence of recent Paris collections. For a mere 31 6, the Roman roller in yellow felt. Another felt, Campfire, at the same price. A slightly dearer creation, Bees Knees in green sisal straw, 4.5 guineas. floral bouquet is one of the more expensive hats at this display at the Mayfair Hotel. In pink rose petals, 18.5 guineas. Rodine, as the name suggests, aims at a schoolgirl look, combined with up-to-the-minute fashion. Needing access to a reasonable bank balance, Premier, 30 guineas, from a Lanvin design in sage green with a pink underbrim. If you want to greet spring with a western look, there's Texas Ranger. Plenty of attractive choice in selecting your new hat this year, isn't there? Nobody has so far found the key to peace in Cyprus. The Greek Cypriots, who are the biggest part of the population, say they don't want NATO to provide the international garrison. They follow the Makarios line and want the United Nations to police the island. Somewhat vainly, the Archbishop appeals for an end to the rioting, but no one man, not even Makarios, can allay the mob passion. They bombed the American embassy to make sure their feelings were known across the Atlantic. A Marine was injured and the telecommunications room damaged. An hour later, there was an explosion in a hotel near the British High Commissioner's office. It blew a hole in the wall and damaged a car owned by one of the 20 Britons staying there. As these films are on the way to London, at least 31 people were killed in a clash 16 miles from Nicosia. Leave Cyprus at once was the advice from Washington to the families of the 1,300 Americans employed on the island. Many took it. It's clear now that the old settlement agreed between the Greek and Turkish Cypriots was not acceptable. Another way to peace will have to be found. At Brixton Market, they're used to the Salvation Army, but not this way. No tambourines, no trombones. The joy strings in their hit parade number, It's an Open Secret. Those crush barriers will stand the strain? Never mind crush barriers, the Beatles fans would smash the sound barrier. The Beatles haven't a chance of leaving the airport just yet. In the VIP lounge, there's an army of press, newsreel, radio and TV interviewers waiting to ask them a question or two.
The fans obviously enjoyed it over there. I assume the press enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was marvellous. Yeah, everything. Every bit of it was knockout.
Even the work?
Yeah, we enjoyed it, it was different. Yeah. Well,
we'd like to go back,
but
we wouldn't stay there. We love England.
Anchorage, largest town in Alaska, lay devastated after the earthquake and tidal wave. The blow struck at 5:45 in the afternoon when the streets were full of people going home from work. Within minutes, the town was a ruin. What the effect must have been on the population, only those who have been in an earthquake can imagine. When these films were taken, the immediate horror had passed, and there was time to search for the scores still missing and for belongings buried somewhere in that awful chaos. For a time, Anchorage had no power, light or water. The news as we receive these pictures is that some part of the public services has been restored. Damage to the whole area affected is estimated by the governor of Alaska, William Egan, to exceed 125 million pounds. The number of people killed is about 100. Great fissures were torn in the earth by the quake, which seismic instruments recorded as being of quite unusual severity. President Johnson has declared Anchorage and its surroundings to be a disaster area. All possible federal aid is being organized. Demonstrations and shooting are everyday matters in Nicosia. The Cyprus government begged for British aid a few weeks ago, but Greek Cypriots now want us out. Who can hope to understand the Mediterranean temperament? Our troops will be very glad that the United Nations have at last decided to provide a peacekeeping force. Back to Nicosia from the funeral of King Paul came President Makarios, unruffled as usual. In his face, it's not easy to read what he is thinking. At political tightrope walking, no other ruler has more skill. 52 Turkish Cypriots who had been held as hostages by their Greek compatriots were released, though the Turks say some are still in custody. How welcome to genuine peace lovers was the arrival of the Canadian Advance Guard, flown to Cyprus by the United Nations. Canada will send 1,000 men before Easter. Ireland, Finland and Sweden will also contribute to the UN force. To the British troops who've been holding a very difficult baby for several weeks, all this is good news indeed. Fire on the rampage in California. Pasadena and Burbank, high-class residential districts north of Los Angeles, watched helplessly as the inferno raged. Winds, at times reaching 100 miles an hour, turned the steep-sided valleys into furnaces. Nearly 40 houses in the $100,000 class were destroyed, many others severely damaged. Puny indeed seemed all efforts to control the fires while the gale blew, though the total fire force numbered more than 1,000. 500 families evacuated their homes as a precaution. A shrine seemed in danger as the blaze advanced towards it. And then, when all but the bravest-hearted had abandoned hope, the gale ceased to howl. A calm mocked the scene of devastation next day. For much of what has since been declared a disaster area, it came too late. California's Governor Brown has appealed for help on a national scale. Riding at anchor off Harwich and safely outside the 3-mile limit, the innocent-looking ex-ferryboat Caroline is causing quite a stir in official circles. She's a floating broadcasting station, hoping to make a big thing out of commercial radio and waiting for the advertisements to roll in. I'm no pirate, insists Captain Mackay, even if the radio crew are. No danger to his ship so far. Generators supply power for the wireless transmitter. Caroline Radio is on the air 12 hours a day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Between those hours, they think, there's a public large enough to attract local advertising revenue. Crew technicians have comfortable off-duty quarters, and to all indications, Caroline is a happy ship. The radio company believe it's all perfectly legal. In the ship's studio, they broadcast with no more concern than if it were all in Broadcasting House.
This is Radio Caroline on 199, England's first commercial radio station. My name's Simon D, with you for the next 2 hours. First one off the top of the pile, the Hollies, Rockin' Robin.
It'll be interesting to see if the young men behind this adventure can stand up against the Postmaster General, the BBC, International Telecommunications, and all the other opposition. It was quite a day at the Café Royal, where the latest in lingerie from Paris was displayed to an appreciative audience. The group for the promotion of the industry in France was holding its first London show. Naturally, they hold the view that glamorous frocks deserve something equally attractive underneath. Night attire is also receiving the attention of the leading houses of haute couture. Having established that much, we'll look at champagne, a nightie with matching negligee. Galata, rose-embroidered pajamas in nylon with black bias binding. Françoise must have something under the mink coat. It proves to be Crescendo, a nylon slip trimmed with Calais lace, satin encrusted. Gigi, a youthful nightdress with negligee to match. Ending on a strong note is Bravo, a good name for this permanently pleated 15 denier nightdress with opaque lining where necessary. The lesson of the display, girls, is that however healthy, red flannel gets you nowhere. 1,600 American editors and their guests were the first to hear President Johnson make the most important foreign policy speech since he took office. The announcement that America and Russia have agreed to cut their output of nuclear weapons material.
I have ordered a further substantial reduction in our production of enriched uranium to be carried out over a 4-year period. And in reaching these decisions, I have been in close consultation with Prime Minister Douglas Hume. And simultaneously with my announcement now, Chairman Khrushchev is releasing a statement in Moscow.
This is the Kremlin, where Mr. Khrushchev said that Russia will discontinue the construction of 2 big plutonium reactors. She will substantially cut down production of nuclear weapons. This is perhaps the biggest step towards lasting peace, yet taken jointly by East and West.
What a way to pass lunchtime. A full-blooded clash between students of Sydney University and the city police. Some of the young people decided to mark Commemoration Day by a sit-down protest against racial segregation abroad. But you just can't sit down in the streets of Sydney. So the police got busy and made it clear that if the students didn't behave themselves, they'd be segregated in the cells. On for an hour and a half, and several young men and women were arrested before all the steam was let off. Being new to this kind of disturbance, Sydney had the surprise of its life. India had lost her sheet anchor. That was how millions felt as Premier Nehru lay dead. Priests came to the Prime Minister's residence to chant prayers, expressive of a nation in grief. Jawaharlal Nehru, chief minister of his country since India became independent in 1947, died at the age of 74. Neither on the political stage nor in moral stature was his leadership ever challenged. By car in the procession rode Nehru's daughter, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and his sister, Mrs. Pandit. They had built the funeral pyre close to the spot where 16 years ago, the body of Mahatma Gandhi was given to the flames. Gandhi's greatest disciple was now to follow his master. Nehru's daughter, Indira, directed the procedure at the funeral pyre. Earl Mountbatten stood with the President of India. Sir Alec Douglas Hume represented the British government. Mr. Dean Rusk attended as U.S. Secretary of State. The man by whom the teachings of Gandhi were applied in practical politics, the father of independent India, is no more. peace-loving men of all nations have lost an inspiration by the passing of Jawaharlal Nehru.
The Derby is always a royal occasion, and today the royal family are here in force, though for once there's no royal horse on the card. Princess Alexandra is here, and Mr. Angus Ogilvy. Pop singer Billy Fury owns Anselmo, quoted at 100 to 1. Not enough fans in the crowd to bring the odds down, apparently. No one showing signs of temperament. With any luck, it may be a first-time start. And it is. Balustrade, one of the four maidens, is first in the lead as they go into the rising curve. 150 feet to climb in the first half mile. Passing the milepost and heading for the left turn of the bushes, with every man jockeying for a good position before they're hugging the rails. Down the hill towards Tattenham Corner, where derbies are lost and won. Who's got strength in reserve for that last grueling half mile? Indiana moving up. He's in third place now and gaining fast. Yes, Indiana's taken the lead. And here's another challenge. Santa Claus coming up on the outside. A furlong to go. And he's pressing Indiana hard. Can he make it? And with yards to go, Santa Claus is in front and wins by a length. With Indiana second, Dilettante third, and Anselmo fourth. What a finish for everyone but the bookies. A masterly race, won above all by brilliant riding, timed to a split second. And for owner Mr. John Ismay, whose last visit to Epsom was in 1922, a cool £72,067. The biggest Derby prize of all time. How's that for a present from Santa Claus in June? Every day is a special one in the Wimbledon fortnight. But this is extra special. Men's final day. And the mecca of dedicated tennis fans is that centre court, which would be packed if it held 4 times its present capacity. It's to be an all-Australian final and a guarantee of exciting tennis. So hurry, everybody. What a history this arena could unfold. But it's the present that matters now. Fred Stolle on the left versus Roy Emerson, who's making his 9th bid for the title. Stolle ousted Chuck McKinley, the holder, in the semi-final. In the royal box are Princess Margaret and Princess Marina. Stolle serves. Emerson's points. The final is underway. Emerson at the far end. This is Emerson's point. The first 2 sets go to Emerson. He's playing fine tennis, but there's a long way to go yet. Set 3 went to Stolle. He serves and he's back with a chance. Set 4, match point to Emerson. Stolle serving. Stolle nets. Emerson's the champion. From the hands of Princess Marina, the president, the new champion receives the trophy and congratulations in which everybody joins. The much looked forward to women's final. Maria Bueno left and Margaret Smith, Brazil versus Australia. Margaret is the reigning champion. Maria won the title in 1959 and 60. Point to Maria Bueno. To the Brazilian girl, another point. She won the first set, dropped the second. This is the one that counts. And she seems to have the Australian on the run. Smith serving, match point to Bueno. Maria's the winner. It's her third Wimbledon championship. Poor Maria, only runner-up, but to a fine champion. Bravo, Maria. Hundreds of miles of nothingness in the Australian outback called Woomera, which is an Aborigine word for throwing stick. And of all the throwing sticks anyone's ever tried out around here, this hangar shelters the biggest and certainly the most expensive. 4 years ago, Blue Streak was a medium-range ballistic missile that had just been cancelled at fantastic cost. Today, bowler-hatted so to speak, it's ready for testing in quite a different role, as the first stage of the Seven Nation project to put a European satellite into orbit in 2 years' time. The 2-day countdown is in progress, not for the first time. Weather and unexpected snags had caused disappointment in the past few days, but this time, in the official language, all systems are operating as planned. A textbook launching, and first tracking reports show that she's bang on course. All 69 feet of her, all 92 tons, though she is lighter already because 90% of her launching weight is fuel and oxygen. When the big day comes, Britain's Blue Streak will carry a French second stage, a West German third stage, and an Italian satellite with Dutch and Belgian instruments. The two Rolls-Royce rocket engines develop over 250,000 pounds of thrust between them. Once, Blue Streak was a dirty word. Now it looks as though Europe has backed a winner. It was a West End first night that had everything. Princess Alexandra attended the performance. The film was Cliff Richard's latest, and pretty nearly everybody was there. Stanley Black composed the score and was the film's musical director. Robert Morley, majestic as always. Sir Philip Water, chairman of Associated British Picture Corporation. Bruce Welch of The Shadows. Hank Marvin, another of the group. They co-star in the film. The fans got really excited now, seeing their idol, the fabulous Cliff Richard himself, a star of two hemispheres. World famous, but boyish and unassuming, just as if nobody had ever heard of him. Beautiful and regal, Princess Alexandra riveted the attention of all. The premiere was in aid of the National Association of Youth Clubs Expansion Campaign Fund, of which the Princess's husband, the Honourable Angus Ogilvy, is vice chairman. The Princess chatted for a few moments with Cliff and his inseparable companions, the Shadows. The good cause of youth clubs benefited by the presence of Her Royal Highness at the performance of a fine film. "23 speed aces are on the grid at Brands Hatch to start the European Grand Prix. Using the famous number 7 that Sterling Moss favoured is Ferrari driver, champion in the making, John Surtees. And here, as president of the RAC, Earl Mountbatten has a word with some of these super drivers. New Zealand's Bruce McLaren, Cooper Climax. Jack Brabham is driving a Brabham Climax. Current world champion Jim Clark, Lotus Climax as usual. Sterling Moss has to keep to the sidelines now. What a loss to the motor racing world. BRM's Graham Hill is only 1 point behind Jim Clark in the championship race. And they're away. This is over 80 laps of the 2.65-mile circuit. That's 212 miles. 2 of them make an inauspicious start. Now boosted to the status of a Grand Prix course, Brands Hatch is a real test for even top-class drivers. It's gear-changing all the way, is the description of Jim Clark himself, given after a practice run. And watch now as the champion just leads Graham Hill into the bend. A Pathé shot to remember, a driver's eye view of what Grand Prix racing means at Brands Hatch. Graham Hill's in second place. John Surtees in third. Jack Brabham's in fourth place. Here's Jim Clark and the gear changing he spoke about. Near the end of the race, a terrific duel between Clark and Graham Hill. But it's the champion who's first at the checkered flag. Hill second. So at 94.14 miles an hour, Clark wins the European Grand Prix and so leads Hill by 4 points in the championship table. Nobody's likely to forget that closing duel between Clark and Hill. Applause well earned by a real champion. Many of the competitors packed their own chutes to make absolutely sure. 131 men from 29 countries took part in the 7th World Parachute Jumping Championship at Leutkirch. The jumping height here is 3,600 feet, with 10 seconds delay before opening the chute. Smoke trails from their boots make them clearly visible all the way down. These men seem to be on a collision course, but they're quite safe. The target circle is no more than 100 meters in diameter. To some extent, parachute jumpers can steer themselves into it by manipulating the open slips in the chute. The winner, Heinz Schall from East Berlin. 2 of his descents were in the very center of the target. The women's competition was won by the well-known American Thelma Taylor. In this life, quite the best way to fall is with a parachute. A feature of the British Timken show at Duston, Northants, is the Olympic trial show jumping. Up on Jacopo is David Broom, whose selection for Tokyo seems all but certain as he touches his best form. David Boston Barker takes North Riding round without fault. Up on Farcrest, Peter Robeson has an unfortunate round. Oil King Nubar Gulbenkian is among those who applaud the British team of the day. Robeson, Harvey Smith, Broom, and on the right now, David Boston Barker. Robeson, Barker and Broom will go to Tokyo. Just as Florida was congratulating itself that Hurricane Dora had passed on and perhaps blown itself out, back it came, destroying hundreds of houses which had escaped the first onslaught. The stupendous cost of Dora so far is estimated at £70 million. Quickly on the scene came President Johnson, soon making the important decision to declare Florida and South Georgia a disaster area entitled to government relief. It puzzles many people in Britain why America calls these terrible visitations of nature by girls' names. Anyhow, few expectant parents in Florida will call their next baby Dora. The president assured everybody he met that help would arrive with all possible speed. Hope springs eternal. That's the spirit behind Britain's endless quest for the America's Cup. Sovereign is the latest yacht to go to Newport, Rhode Island, where Constellation defends the trophy, Bob Bavier at the helm. Sovereign's designers thought she would have a chance in heavy weather. Peter Scott and his crew shared that faith. The America's Cup, originally a British trophy, was won by a US schooner at Cowes 113 years ago. Every predecessor of Constellations has defended the Cup in American waters. When the present race started, there wasn't the heavy wind that Sovereign may have wanted. The US yacht led from the beginning. Perhaps the crew aboard the English vessel expected to get ahead later on in the 24-mile race, which is sailed over 6 legs of 4 miles. Spinnakers out now with a following wind, and Sovereign not yet hopelessly trailing. Constellation has a lead which Sovereign can't possibly reduce. The America's Cup history is repeating itself as Constellation crosses the line 5 minutes, 34 seconds in front. Escorted by her father, King Frederick of Denmark, Princess Anne-Marie went to the Metropole Cathedral of Athens for her marriage to King Constantine of Greece. The distinguished congregation included representatives of all the royal houses of Europe. Queen Frederica acted as sponsor to her 24-year-old son. Now the princess, beautifully gowned in white satin, made her way to the chancel, there to join the bridegroom. The impressive marriage ceremony of the Greek church was performed by the Primate of Greece. In accordance with that ritual, it fell to the bridegroom's mother, Queen Frederica, to take the rings of her son and his bride and cross them 3 times to represent the Holy Trinity. Queen Frederica now crossed the 2 crowns in the same symbolical way as the rings. Prince Harold of Norway and Crown Prince Gustav of Sweden then took the crowns to hold over the heads of the king and princess. When the deeply moving service was over, everyone remarked how splendidly the 18-year-old Danish bride had borne herself. It was the same on the return to the palace. Also how well she had endured the terrific heat now beating down upon the procession. As the profusion of colored paper floated down like giant confetti, it almost seemed like a great day on Broadway. The Greek monarchy has often drawn strength from unions with other royal families. It does so now, particularly in this wedding of the handsome young king and his beautiful Danish princess. The Japs call it the bullet, and it looks like a bullet, this super express that thrusts aside all existing ideas of train speed. It runs on rail lengths a mile long, on which it has reached 150 miles an hour on a trial run. Even then, it wasn't flat out. On regular runs between Tokyo and Osaka, nearly 500 miles, the Bullet will keep the speed needle steady at 190 kilometers, about 120 miles an hour. Even with 5 stops, it cuts the journey time to 4 hours. With their sense of timing, the Japs will have a small fleet of these 1,000-passenger trains when all the world's in Tokyo for the Olympic Games. The Royal Yacht dropped anchor off Charlottetown. To this capital of Prince Edward Island, the Queen and Duke had sailed from Summerside, to which they flew from England. Security precautions were on a scale eliminating the risk, as far as humanly possible, of any attack on the Sovereign. In view of threats of violence made by a tiny minority of French Canadians, the government had taken strong measures. Yet, as the Queen and Duke came ashore to be received by the Governor-General and Madame Vanier, how irrelevant all the security seemed. Persons of national and provincial importance were presented at the dockside. In Charlottetown 100 years ago took place the discussions that paved the way 3 years later for the establishment of Canada as one nation under the Crown. It must have seemed like home as Her Majesty inspected the Canadian Guards. To open the Fathers of the Confederation Memorial Building, erected to mark the Canadian Centennial, was the main object of the Queen's presence on Prince Edward Island. Here, it may be said, was born the nation destined to become Canada. Police with binoculars, further evidence of security. The Premier of Prince Edward Island, the Honourable W.R. Shaw, with his wife, escorted the Queen and Duke. The island, about the size of Norfolk, has a Lieutenant Governor, Executive Council, and a Legislative Assembly. Ranging from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and still perhaps only on the threshold of its splendid development, Canada stands high among the free nations of the world. There seems no end to thrills in the Olympic Games. Certainly the 100 meters men's final could be guaranteed to provide one. It's the American R.L. Hayes all the way. He wins in 10 seconds, a new Olympic record and equaling the world record. A superb runner, this man Hayes. Slow motion analyzes the beauty and sheer perfection of his sprint action. A gold medal won in convincing style. The women's high jump final. Yolanda Balash of Romania, winner 4 years ago, clears 6 feet 2 3/4, 2 inches higher than last time. A gold medal for Yolanda and Romania. Over to the swimming stadium for the women's highboard final. Ingrid Engel-Kramer of Germany winning the silver medal. The gold goes to the American girl Leslie Bush. Watching are the Emperor and Empress of Japan. Now for the men's 200 meters breaststroke final. The Olympic record, 2 minutes 37.2, was set 4 years ago. Karpenko, Russia, is just ahead, hard-pressed by Ian O'Brien of Australia. They might be porpoises. O'Brien's overtaking the Russian. The Australian wins. For Ian O'Brien, a gold and a world and Olympic record. Downing Street is on the screens of the whole world. Under new management is the most famous political house in Europe. Mr. Wilson entertained to lunch Mrs. Bandaranaike, Prime Minister of Ceylon. There was a crowd to see the new ministers. Here is Mr. George Brown with his wife, arriving for Mr. Wilson's first cabinet meeting. Minister of Labour, Ray Gunter. He says his job is a bed of nails. Richard Crossman, Minister of Housing and Local Government. Dennis Healy, Defence Secretary. Colonial Secretary Anthony Greenwood, popular with all sections of the party. Surprise appointment is Frank Cousins as Minister of Technology. Patrick Gordon Walker, Foreign Secretary, was unseated at Smethwick and will have to find a new constituency. Politics in Russia, too. President Torado of Cuba, arriving on a state visit, received, of course, by the titular head of state, Supreme Soviet Chairman Mikoyan. For also under new management is the Kremlin. So it is not Khrushchev lording it on the other side of the table and beaming across at President Torado, but the new men, the Communist Party Secretary Brezhnev and Prime Minister Kosygin. As usual, the demeanor of Mr. Mikoyan is calm. There's an awful lot of confetti in Brazil, and in Rio, the state capital Brasilia, and Sao Paulo, they showered it on President de Gaulle. No visiting head of state was ever feted as the French ruler has been throughout his 10-country tour of Latin America. Perhaps in Sao Paulo, city of 4 million people, the Brazilian welcome reached its height. Both in and out of front, many people doubted the wisdom of de Gaulle's tour. They thought it might fall flat. What can they be thinking today? In the winter, children's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of toys. So the trade exhibited the best that will be on sale this Christmas. We don't say next Christmas because it'll be upon us almost before we can turn round. To kiddies' delight, toys get bigger and better every year. Obviously, there's no need for any youngster to stand for Father Christmas fobbing him off with something worth half a crown. The figure-8 raceway makes any boy think he's John Surtees. The Cheetah Cub Racer is a real motor car, strictly not for the lounge. Mounted at the rear, there's a genuine 4-stroke engine. How about a mobile crane? With one of these and given a few lumps of coal to pick up and drop on the carpet, paradise. A model of the GPO Tower. Our toy industry, by the way, earns £12.5 million a year in exports, a quarter of its total trade. Here's a winner, the Beatles playing at a jive session. Nearly 42 million Americans dispelled all doubts. Lyndon B. Johnson is elected president by the biggest majority in the nation's history. This was the voice of democracy. Down in Texas, in the president's own town, the opposition was not prominent. With his wife, Lyndon Johnson went to the polling station, where it was an open secret that they were voting, as they say over there, straight Democratic. In Phoenix, Arizona, Republican candidate Barry Goldwater went in to cast his vote. There was nothing in his bearing to indicate whether he thought he had a chance, but like a good politician, he went through the motions. New York that night knew which way the contest had gone. And in their own senatorial election, it was victory for Robert Kennedy. He ousted the Republican Senator Keating. So the Kennedy family are back in the center of the political picture. Bobby may stand for president 4 years from now. In hospital with a broken back after a flying accident is Teddy Kennedy, learning from his wife that he too is elected to the Senate. Elected senator on the Republican ticket by California is former film star George Murphy. Now Washington, heart of United States politics, where some top people voted. Among them the influential Secretary of State Dean Rusk. Also the popular wartime general Omar Bradley. What a victory it all was for President Johnson. He went to the White House automatically when Kennedy was assassinated. Now he is president in his own right.
This is more than a victory of party or person. It is a tribute to the program that was begun by our beloved President John F. Kennedy.
With his running mate Hubert Humphrey, Lyndon Johnson conducted a wonderful campaign. Good luck, Mr. President. They are a delightful part of the Variety Club's Operation Santa Claus to benefit 15,000 children throughout the country. Dickie Henderson brought presents, and hard on his heels came Davy Kay. The stars of show business have responded handsomely, as usual, to the Christmas appeal. Charlie Drake is a born Santa Claus. Stanley Baker was to be another Father Christmas. Outside the Savoy was a sunshine coach designed for handicapped children. The matron of St. Mary's Hospital, Plaistow, was in the little party examining the coach. The famous club has raised and given away nearly £2 million since it was formed 15 years ago. This Christmas, it expects to send 15,000 toys to hospitals and to underprivileged children in homes. The Santa Claus here is even better known as Sid James. Davy Kay and Dickie Henderson. Nurses from children's hospitals know better than anyone how much these Variety Club presents mean to the kiddies at Christmas time. So to the club's chief barker, David Jones, and to the thousands who've helped, a happy Christmas themselves. The decorations are up in every town, big and small, unmistakably proclaiming their message. It's the time when we empty our pockets for the big shopping spree of the year. And that means bigger crowds than ever, even in places where rush is the rule most of the time. It's Christmas buying that dominates the shops and fills everybody's mind. And over to Canada, where they grow millions of them. One thing over there, they know they'll have a white Christmas. On Pathé's first stop abroad, you can see that across the Atlantic, they know all about getting the best out of that wonderful combination, snow, ice, and Christmas. When it comes to bright lights, Brussels has nothing to learn from anybody. A prosperous city, the people bent on enjoying themselves. Across the border to Western Germany, where they're free to make merry, have the money to do it, and give rein to the joys of Christmas. This is the scene in all their cities. New York, and it's the same story there. The Christmas spirit pervades every part of the free world, and when it comes to having a good time, nobody can give lessons to the Americans. To end our round-the-world survey, back to Britain. Every night of the Yuletide season, the lights are on, turning the cities into a fairyland. Don't let's forget what it's all about this season, when we show our best side and resolve to keep the bad in check for the future, when all good folk rejoice with heart and soul and voice, and the magic of Christmas casts a spell once more.